Well, hello there. Today we're going to be talking about a very tricky attack style, which would be queen walking. And queen walking is it's a bulky thing to discuss, but if you already know how to funnel and to get your troops where you want them to go, it's going to be more understandable and easier, and it comes naturally. A lot of us have been practicing this, so I hope I can make practicing more efficient and worth your time for you. Just let me know what I missed if ever you already know how to do the queen walk. Okay, so before I go there, in case you're wondering, you can see that there are a lot of symbols around this interface, so I'll just have to explain them briefly. So in my right, this part is most of the time are just spells. I'm just going to copy and paste them depending on how many are there. And here are the points. So we have point 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. They have the same color and the same format because most times they are placed at the same time. And there are point 3s, which is 3A and 3B. That means two main or heavy armies. Now, what's this new symbol? G1 and G2, or even G3, for example. That's actually the goal of the attack, or where you want to go, what you want to take down, what you want to deal with, okay, when it comes to this base. And this is a bit self-explanatory. It's just me symbolizing buildings being destroyed, just to make sure that you can see the route or the funnel or where it is going, considering that some buildings have already been destroyed. And here are the troops. I'm just gonna copy and paste them depending on how many there are. So in this attack, there is 5 healers for sure. There are 2 or just 1 baby dragon, maybe a whiz, but I don't need to put the whiz as long as the concept is still there. And the rest are miners. Now, what would I put in that siege machine? Now, this is the siege machine. I actually didn't have the image for that one, but at least this is more straightforward. It still looks like a siege machine, except it's minimalistic. So, I'm going to be dragging things around and explaining things as I go on. So expect that this video will be a bit long because we see a lot of queen walk demonstrations, but they don't really explain how it works or how to make sure the troop goes where it goes and how to be a pro at it and how to make sure you get to all the G spots. Okay, that came out wrong. So G1, G2, and G3, which means goals. Okay, so we have 3 goals for example, which is pulling the CC troops or taking down the eagle or making sure the infernos and the X-bows in the middle go down early. Now, okay, those are the 3 Gs, for example. It varies depending on the base, and I also set up an arrow that I can use to point where exactly things are going to go. So, I hope that explains the symbols and the weird paintbrush level editing that goes with the graphics of, well, drawing in Google Docs. Okay, so I'm going to be explaining how to actually 3D this base, and you actually saw this replay in the previous video. It's the video with it's a part of the video or the replay that had 2 T funnels. That's actually a bit overwhelming for some, considering that not a lot of terms or spots can be clear. So at least now I'm going to try my best to make it clearer and explain each part, like what troops go with point 1A, point 1B, 2B, and so on, and which of the set of point 1, 2, and 3 is going to go for goal 1, goal 2, or goal 3, or what is the purpose of the queen, or where do I place my queen, or what spells do I bring, how do I make what are the backup troops for the queen to make sure that she goes where you want her to go, and where do you place the siege machine. Okay, so this is a lot of technical stuff, so I hope you're ready for this and I hope you learned something from this. Okay, so first off, let's describe this base. You can see this base. I'm just gonna hover the mouse around so you can see it. Now this base is a TH11, so if you're a Town Hall 10, you don't have to worry about the CC, the Eagle Artillery, the big bird in the middle, because you won't be having to go against that. But the thing with the Eagle is it has a trigger threshold, meaning if you deploy a few troops at a time, it won't activate. But once you go beyond 180, I think is the number, it just wakes up and it starts firing huge damage around all over the map, and that hurts. That's why the Queen Walk is quite effective, and that's why the Warden is also useful. Because the Warden makes sure that if you get hit by the Eagle Artillery, you're invulnerable. The main aim of a Queen Walk in Town Hall 11 is to take down CC and take down the Eagle Artillery. So we can make that G1 and G2. Okay, so how do we make sure that G1 and G2 will be finished off before we can send the main troop in? That's the trick. Now if you watch the replay, you'd see that our player there, Russell, actually did a Queen Walk from here, this spot. That means that's point 1A. Now, he did a Queen Walk around this area. Of course, the healers are just behind that. Let's assume that there are 5 healers, okay? That's a constant. There are always 5 healers when it comes to a Queen Walk, and your healers have to be max for your Town Hall level. That means for Town Hall 9 and Town Hall 10, that's a level 4 healer. For Town Hall 11 and above, that's a level 5 healer. So 5 is the magic number for an amount of healers that you need. Now, I think Russ's replay will actually show you that he intended to go to G1 and G2 with a queen, a few baby dragons, and the wall wrecker, the siege machine. So let's go on. Now that there are 5 healers over there, how does Russ make sure that the queen will not go to the left? Well, he actually put one of the baby dragons in there. He put it here, and that's when this part gets destroyed more often. The baby dragon will destroy this building, and this building, meaning the archer queen while walking, especially with the 5 healers, is almost untouchable, will go around this spot. Okay, now that's one line. Just gonna make another line in case. I'm pretty sure at this rate the baby dragon will actually be able to destroy until this area. And you can see that there's actually a huge line here. It's like a line to the right. So the archer queen will no longer go to the left. Though sometimes the archer queen really does that. And one thing you should know about archer queens is if they're with 5 healers, you don't really have to be that afraid that they're going to get killed unless there are 3 or more buildings onto them. And that's also why he attacked from the top, not from the side. It's to avoid that solo inferno. That solo inferno is really gonna mess with your queen walk. So if you see that this base is actually pretty easy to figure out, because you only have to go to this spot. You get Eagle, you get CC, and you also avoid the solo infernos, okay? Which is nice. Now, the queen goes here. How do we make sure the queen goes to the other spot, which is G2, this spot? How do we make sure that the queen goes there? Well, we're going to have to give her time to destroy the other buildings, like this one for sure, the cannon, archer tower, and the mortar. Yes, she's pretty much gonna go there at this rate. Of course, the first building she's gonna destroy is the laboratory. And this is actually where Russ actually placed the second baby dragon, around this spot. Now, this baby dragon is gonna make sure the queen is going to go here. Let's put more of those markers around. The baby dragon is definitely gonna destroy this side. Yes, red explosions everywhere. such cheap graphics. Okay, so the baby dragon is pretty much gonna take care of that side. Now you can actually see a spot where there are no red spots. Okay. Of course, these spots are going to be clear. What's the shape of... Yes. What do you think is the shape that we can see now? Once this is done and this is done, we can actually see that the queen has no other choice but to go there. But the tough thing here is the walls are actually tough. That's when Russell puts the wall wrecker. Now we can actually use the cheap ass minimalist wall wrecker. Okay, there. So that's when he actually puts the wall wrecker in around this spot, if I remember correctly. Now, with the wall wrecker there, the queen actually has a lot of time or hit points to back her up. Okay, and what happened in this attack is it went straight here. So I'm gonna make another arrow just beside this one. Yes, they went directly to G2, and there was no other angle where the queen would actually get lost because the baby dragons have already cleared the spot. And as you can see, if you look at the map so far, the queen going to the right, the queen has nowhere else to go, has nothing else to destroy but to go to the middle. And that's when the siege actually just crawls into the middle. Now the next step. Now at this point, the siege machine is already here. The queen and her healers are here. This baby dragon is probably dead already. Oh, and this one is also dead. Yeah, poor baby dragon. Anyways, yes. Now that the siege machine and the archer queen are just beside each other, on going to the eagle, a lot of other red spots are going to appear, like this one. I'm pretty sure that's in the range of the queen. This one, and that one, of course, and maybe even this one. And for sure, we achieved goal 2. Okay, we achieved goal 2, which is to destroy eagle artillery. But we're missing actually missing one thing, which is the CC troops. Now, once the wall wrecker reaches this spot, the CC troops from G1 will automatically go and try to destroy the wall wrecker, and the queen is inside it. That's when you place your freeze spell. Freeze, then poison. Okay? Actually, in this setup, we have possibly 2 rage spells, okay? 2 or 3 rage spells. And the rage is best placed around buildings that have high hit points, or when your queen and healer needs a damage or heal boost. So in this case, I think Russ placed it around this area. Yes, this area as well. It's a very crucial area just to make sure that the eagle artillery G2 is out of the way, and the CC troops will immediately just die, considering that they were frozen and they were even poisoned. Talk about overkill. Okay, so that's how they got into the middle. Now, what happens to the main army? How do we make sure that the miners and the archer queen will meet halfway? That's when we actually go for the second set of army, the second set, which would be the miners, the warden, and the barbarian king. Well, in this case, Russell put the barbarian king here. Why? Because the barbarian king is pretty much gonna clear this, and even this. Okay? Now you can see that there's a patch of undestroyed areas in there. And depending on the level of your barbarian king, you can actually see there will be more buildings to destroy, and the more it can actually distract other ground defense buildings, which is what your miners can actually need. Now, Russ actually put the barbarian king here while confronting the CC troops with freeze, poison, and rage. Okay, you can see that spot. That's all X now. That's pretty much all X. X'd out or cancelled. Yeah, this one's destroyed. Eagle is finally down. okay? He already cleared almost half of the base at this rate. And now, where do we place the miners? Now, we don't have extra healers because the healer and the queen is likely here already, around this spot, okay? So, here comes, oh, yeah, in case I forgot. Point 1A, and this is point 2B, where the Barbarian King is. Because 3B is here, 3A earlier, if you remember, is here. So where do you think I'm going to put 2A? 2A is pretty much here. Because 1, 2, 3. You can see how they cleared it, right? You deploy this first, you deploy this second, deploy this third, while the queen goes there as well with the CC troops and the siege and the, you know, wall wrecker. And now our goal 3 is technically around this spot. How do we get the troops to go from 3B to G3? That's a tongue twister. Anyways, as you figured, 1A and 1B are pretty much the same spot in this attack. Okay, we just push them beside each other and put that dragon a bit on the side because it's probably dead at this point. Okay, now what do we put in 3B? In this type of attack, we actually put the miners in this spot. I'm not gonna draw all 26 or 27 of them, so I'm probably just gonna draw 6, okay? Or 7. Yeah, that's a lot of things to drag around. Now, that's actually where point 3B is. They're well on their way to the middle. You can see that, right? Because there are already a lot of red spots, and I'm pretty sure this one is also gonna be red, okay? So the miners, that's 26 of them, just imagine that there's 26 of them, they have nowhere else to go because the Barbarian King already cleared this side, the Archer Queen and the Baby Drag already cleared this side, so they're probably just gonna go to the middle. But since the Queen already destroyed this part as well, actually in Russell's attack he forgot to activate the Queen's ability, so the Queen went down here, so the healers started going where the miners are, so like around here. Let's say they just met this way, okay? So the Queen's dead, but this is clear. Do you think the miners from 3B can actually go to G3? Actually, in this attack, that's actually what happened. So they just went on and went here. How do I adjust that pointer? There. They have nowhere else to go but to go there. Now the next question is, you still only used around 3 spells so far. That means a rage, a freeze, and a poison. Meaning you probably have around 3 heal spells more and another rage spell. Now where do you put these? Now miners generally don't have a lot of problems versus single target troops, especially if they're in a huge horde, okay? That means the moment they get in this part, heal them, okay? You can actually see that I'm only covering spots that don't have red marks, okay? This is where you would probably heal them. I only have 3 heals, and you actually have G3 done. So the miners are likely to spread around this area as well. We're gonna go here and clean up the rest of the base. Okay, got it. Now you can see that the miners will probably charge through this base, and you still have an extra rage spell, which is nice. I'm suggesting you use those rage spells with the heal around this area because this is the tough spot. And always prepare your heal spells if the miners are around bomb towers. You can use the rage spells when they're up against really meaty buildings like the Inferno Tower or the Town Hall or the storages, or if they're stuck, or if they're going to kill that queen. So maybe around here would be a safe choice, okay? So now, let's progress the attack a bit more, meaning more destruction on this side, more destruction on this side. It's pretty much wrecked. So much destruction. Okay. This attack was actually a 3-star one, so the miners will pretty much clear up the rest of the remaining troops, considering that they have 4 spells behind them. The second rage is actually for the Archer Queen, but in this case, I think Russell didn't think he needed that second rage for the Queen, so he used it for the miners instead. Now, this is actually a 3-star attack, and if you check the replay, my explanation of how it happened is kinda how it rolled out, except for missing the Queen's ability, okay? But yeah, we've kind of forgot the Warden on this one. Where does the Warden go? So the Warden is probably in 3B as well. It's behind the miners, and it's bound to follow the miners around if it's set to ground, considering that these buildings were primarily were first destroyed before the miners went forward. So you can actually use the Warden's ability around this area. Now, it's actually the monumental clash part of this attack. That's why the miners can actually need that health boost. Now, this is for Town Hall 11. If you're at Town Hall 10 or Town Hall 9, it can work differently. Okay, so if you're at Town Hall 10, you can still use miners. You can still have a wall wrecker. You can still use the same tricks and the same concepts that you've learned from this video, except your queen should be at least level 25 or 30 to make sure you don't run out of time. The higher the queen, the better the queen walk and the miner attack is. And I've seen a lot of bases, even max Town Hall 12s, threeing others with miners, given that they don't even have a barbarian king. That was some technical stuff, okay? So this is pretty much how it looks like in the end. Now, before we all get confused because of all the details, I'll give you a quick summary of what had happened since the beginning. So at the beginning, we put our Archer Queen in 1A, and the baby dragon is also there to make sure she doesn't go left. So she went right. Now, as she was going right, 2A is placed to make sure this part is cleared. And she meets up with the wall wrecker, the siege machine, with the CC troops to cut the middle, kill CC, and kill the bird, kill the eagle artillery, which is a very annoying troop. Now at this point, this area that I'm dragging around is already clear. But as this happens, Russell started placing point 2B, which is around this area, to clear these buildings. Now once these buildings are cleared with the rage ability, and once the CC is down, he places his miners. And since he's at Town Hall 11, he also put the Warden in there. So they charge through the remnants of the base. Now this base no longer has an eagle artillery. It doesn't even have multi-infernos. So the spell placements are not so hasty anymore, because you can just activate the Warden's ability. So he cleaned up the whole base, and it actually was a 3-star. If you like to see the replay, I think it's in the other video, okay, for reference reasons. So I'm going to finish it at that. I hope this format is kind of more understandable, because I tried to make it as visual as possible. And I don't have a beta tester version wherein I can simulate attacks all I want in particular bases, or to explain broad topics and all that stuff. So I hope, let me know if this format works, because this is actually easier for me to record. It's just that it becomes a longer video when I'm trying to explain things. So if you have questions, leave it in the comments, or just ask me in chat, or just reach out. I'm fine with answering questions. Okay? That's it. That's all for now, and just let me know if you like these kind of videos. Buyers.